Powerful. Fearless. Aggressive. These highly trained desert warriors are members of Saka, an elite unit of the Egyptian Special Forces.
We can consider the shock troops or Saka in Egypt as the Marines in the United States. They are strong, they are tough, they have the ability to carry on things in which the ordinary soldier can do.
Saka is Arabic for lightning, a well-deserved designation. The Saka Commando's mission is to strike fast and hard with lethal force.
Saka are the best educated, best trained, and most experienced troops. They can accomplish any mission. Saka commandos are the top fighting force in the Middle East, equal to any troops anywhere in the world.
The Saka Commando units were first formed in the early 1950s under the leadership of Egyptian President Gamal Abdel Nasser, a career army officer who understood the value of highly trained elite combat units. Saka's expert forces specialize in small, independent actions. They're especially adept at all methods of infiltration, lightning raids, and operations behind enemy lines.
The shock troops, or Saka, is the people who is responsible for the most dangerous and most difficult part during the war. If we want to attack some command post, we use shock troops. If we want to cut the enemy lines of supply, we use also shock troops. If we want to make some kind of disturbance in the rear lines of the enemy, we use shock troops.
Saka forces are Egypt's desert commandos, trained to carry out the most difficult military missions in the harshest climate on Earth. Before the commandos can face any enemy, they must first survive the course. It's 110 degrees in the shade, if there is any shade. Saka instructors are putting the finishing touches on their infamous obstacle course, warming it up a bit for the young commando hopefuls. By any standards of military training, this may be the most brutal exercise on Earth.
Saka commandos must be able to endure great hardship. The Saka man must be willing to sacrifice his life for his country and for his fellow soldiers.
The desert is an unforgiving place, cruel and unpredictable. The course recreates the desert's most brutal conditions, then adds to the adversity by simulating the conditions of all-out war.
It is rigorous, but also realistic. To endure requires a great deal of motivation. Saka man is very highly motivated. Nothing stops him.
Though they train as one unit, this is a test that each man must withstand on his own. Around each bend, a new challenge lurks. Under the searing sun, in full combat gear, the recruits must run, swim, climb, crawl, and drag themselves through just less than 1 mile of pure torture. Firestorms rage at every turn. Live ammunition rains all around. Bullets whiz inches overhead. Explosive charges erupt on all sides. Thick smoke fills the air and cuts into the soldiers' lungs, depriving them of much-needed oxygen. Horror stories surrounding the course are legendary. Rumors abound of the hideous creatures that lurk in the water trenches. The recruits constantly chant Saka, invoking the proud legacy of the elite lightning forces to lend them strength to endure their ordeal. The rugged range is a test, not only of fitness, but of fortitude, self-discipline, and the will to win. Only those who conquer the course will become Saka fighters.
You need a strong will, a strong mind to become Saka. The most important thing is to think and to act on your own in difficult situations. That is what it takes to make war in the desert. Without this ability, he will not survive.
Egypt's Saka commandos continuously train, prepared and ready to respond to any situation. Saka's counter-terrorist unit has been called into action on several occasions. Perhaps the most notorious incident took place in 1985 when Egypt Air Flight 648 was hijacked by terrorists. As the airliner touched down in Malta, the terrorists began methodically murdering the passengers every few minutes, unless their demands were met.
I can't describe to you how I felt by seeing my passengers being killed in cold blood like this. It was awful, and I really hated every minute of it.
Saka counter-terrorist commandos responded with a full-on assault. The rescue quickly escalated into a fierce battle as the Saka commandos made their way through the inferno, neutralizing the terrorists while attempting to evacuate the endangered passengers. In all, 59 people were killed. The operation served as an example of Egypt's willingness to use the lethal force of Saka commandos to put an end to the threat of international terrorism. Perhaps the best example of Egypt's re-emergence as an important leader of the Arab world is their preeminent role in Operation Desert Storm. When more than 100,000 Iraqi soldiers spilled across their southern border, seizing Kuwait, it was Egypt's President Hosni Mubarak who took the lead in rallying the Arab world to stand firm against Saddam Hussein's renegade ambitions. Spearheading the Arab presence in the international coalition, Egypt quickly committed more than 50,000 ground troops to the Desert Shield forces. The talents of the Saka commandos were perfectly suited to the types of desert warfare necessary for the Kuwait situation.
Well, the role in a desert war of special forces is the classic role of operating behind enemy lines, deep in behind. And people get the wrong idea, thinking that the desert is open and flat and therefore special forces won't be able to operate. Well, they operate by using their skills of camouflage and mobility that they have, using either helicopters to operate in, or either parachuting into the area, or motoring in, using vehicles to go right wide round enemy positions.
The shock troop soldier can stay in the desert for maybe 15 or 21 days, watching the enemy or watching the other side, watching the environment, watching the daily activity of the other side, and sending his messages to the people in the headquarters. He knows how to get water in the desert, how to find the small creatures in the desert and eat them, like snakes, frogs, chickens, and maybe one potato. The strong will is considered as a very important factor for those people in shock troops.
For the cause of Arab unity, it was the Saka forces who re-equipped and retrained the Kuwaiti army in exile. In the short time between the Iraqi invasion and the launching of Operation Desert Storm, Saka specialists were called upon to transform the ragtag remnants of the Kuwaiti army into a rejuvenated fighting force. The Kuwaitis received instruction to enhance their skills in various forms of advanced weaponry. The Kuwaitis drilled extensively in martial arts and hand-to-hand combat techniques, demonstrating their fighting spirit and overwhelming zeal to reclaim their country. Of special concern was Iraq's possible use of weapons of mass destruction, especially chemical weapons.
Saka training was very important to the success of the Kuwaiti troops. We are proud to operate for the benefit of our Arab neighbors in liberating their country.
Upon completion of the training, the Kuwaitis conducted a realistic training mission simulating the type of operation which would soon help them regain their country. Armored tank units lead the ground attack, raising great columns of dust as they forged ahead of Kuwaiti infantrymen. Fighting their way across the desert, the Kuwaitis proceed into a simulated urban environment, utilizing their well-honed skills in door-to-door combat. Accomplishing their mission and with their training complete, the Kuwaiti soldiers victoriously wave their nation's flag, chanting, "Long live the Emir." In a few days, these men and their Saka mentors will assume their place on the battlefield, marching to victory in Operation Desert Storm.
The Egyptian units participate in all the wars of Egypt, and it was the first army reached to city of Kuwait after its liberation.
Egypt's Saka forces performed with distinction in Operation Desert Storm, returning home as national heroes. Egyptian President Mubarak personally greeted each of the soldiers injured in the operation, offering the heartfelt thanks of the nation for their sacrifices. The Saka forces, Egypt's desert warfare specialists, were decorated for their valor, a fitting reward for their years of training, dedication, and constant courage. To be a member of Saka is a solemn responsibility, an honor proudly worn. The Saka commando today, like the country he serves, stands poised to face the future while nobly reflecting the timeless glory of the past.